Late Friday, Mayor Eric Adams announced plans to send hundreds of asylum seekers to 2 hotels in the Hudson Valley. Local leaders now pushing back. So joining us this morning is one of those leaders, Orangetown Supervisor Teresa Kenny. So good morning to you, Town Supervisor. Good to see you. Thanks for being here to talk about this.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
So as we understand, none of the asylum seekers have arrived yet. So explain to me this conversation you had with Mayor Eric Adams on Friday. He actually called you. How long was that conversation, and what was discussed when he called?
So I got the call around 11 o'clock on Friday morning from the mayor himself, and it was very much this is something we've been looking at, and it may happen, it may not happen. Orangetown may get people, they may not. It sounded like something that would be in the coming weeks to months. But when I started to press on some of the more, try to get down on the facts, he said someone from my team would be contacting you later. So it was around 1:30 in the afternoon when someone from his team contacted me and I questioned when it was going to happen. I was told imminently. And then I started getting photos from residents that showed that there was hundreds of beds stacked outside the hotel. So clearly at 11 a.m. when the mayor called me, he certainly knew that it was more imminent than he was leading me to believe.
And what was your reaction to the mayor? Did you say you did not want this? What was the conversation?
Well, what I did was I said, to be very clear, you're not asking me because that's, and you're basically giving me a courtesy call. And he confirmed that, yes, he was giving me a courtesy call. He was not asking me, very politely. It was nothing, whatever. So, it was the first I heard it, and I didn't know, what our legal rights were. It certainly was I was kind of taken back. So I contacted our county exec right away, who jumped right in. And, rightfully so. He does have the Department of Social Services and will be left with dealing with this situation if the city comes up and leaves them for 4 months and leaves. So, so the county execs jumped in and issued the state of emergency.
Okay, so Teresa, speaking of the state of emergency, it was declared on Saturday in Rockland County. Actually buys local leaders a little bit more time. Can you explain a little bit about how that works? And do you actually know where these hotels are located for the people that will be relocated?
Yes, there's one hotel in it, and that's been identified, and it's in what's known as the hamlet of Orangeburg. So it's a small hamlet, just a little over 3 square feet miles, with a population of around 4,600 people. So it's really a very suburban area. There's only one hotel in the town that we're aware of that has been contracted with, is from what we understand. But again, part of the problem is we're not getting this information. I could not. Every little bit of information I get is me pulling it out. So when I spoke with the mayor's office on Saturday, I said, look, if you could tell me how many people when they're coming, that would be helpful. And I was told, well, probably not more than 100, likely this weekend. I had asked about the schools, and that's when I learned that it was only going to be adult males. So as I sit here, there's, up to 340 possibility adult, males, single males, coming to the town, at any given moment. And that's just not fair to anybody, to the residents, to the migrants that are coming. This is such an inappropriate place for them. So yeah, I think part of the problem has been the process. Then we get to the legal issue of it. The town of Orangetown did actually send a fire inspector in yesterday. We had calls about these beds being delivered to make sure they weren't being set up in other rooms. And, we do not think that this use is consistent with our town law, which is basically a hotel for transit use for no more than 30 days.
So to be clear, I spoke to Senator Gillibrand, who was saying that she spoke to some upstate mayors and town supervisors who were willing to take asylum seekers in, a few dozen. Are you willing to take some off the hands of New York City because of the problem that is happening right now in New York?
No, we're not. We are not a sanctuary county. We are not a sanctuary town. The mayor proudly boasted that he was and that he would take everybody. So, we're small in the scheme of things. We're a small town and we're a small county, and we're not equipped to deal with, this mass influx. And again, if we were told specifics, it may change our opinion. But when people ask me that, I said, how can I I have not one piece of paper in writing from the mayor. Nothing. It's been verbal. It's been dragging pieces out. I don't know if they don't know or if they're intentionally not telling us.
So what was it? Why do you think the city chose this specific area? Did you ask Mayor Adams why?
I did not. What I think is that it was whatever hotel they could find that would take them. And I think they're desperate. I understand they're overwhelmed. But taking a busload of migrants and just sticking them on a bus to Rockland County, to Orangeburg, no mass transportation. Yes. No, if you see this hotel, what are these people going to do? So this was not a well thought out plan. This is an act of desperation.
Okay, quickly before we let you go, you mentioned one hotel has been identified. Would they have resources around their stores or a hospital to have access to? Because many of them don't have transportation.
Yeah, I mean, the hospital's certainly quite a few miles away, which is part of the problem. We started when our inspector went in, they found that they were going to have, I guess, city staff there. So there was piles of shirts that said social worker and supervisor, and then they saw a room with medical, like COVID tests and a lot of, hundreds of, medical supplies. They were going to make this hotel a shelter, a New York City shelter in Orangetown.
Just to button this up, because we are out of time, I just want to button this up then. So what is going to play out this week? They're arriving here in New York City. You have that state of emergency, which says they can't come. What if they do?
Well, that's in Rockland County. There are fines if they do it. The town of Orangetown is prepared to file a lawsuit, basically based on the fact that it is not complying with our zoning as early as today.
All right. Well, Teresa Kenny, thank you so much for joining us this morning and shedding insight on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.